recording. It's a build your own webinar. I have put together some ideas to actually cater the OneNote webinar to actual dealer needs. So this is a work in progress. You'll let me know if you have other ideas. Again, can we do this, Steph, in OneNote? And I'll let you know. And if I'm suggesting stuff that makes completely no sense, please spare my emotions and just go with it. No, I'm kidding. Of course, let me know. And we will have this be better each time, and you'll help me make this a great webinar. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. We have pretty much everybody in. I'll start by sharing my screen. Again, we also have leave behinds. So I'll share my screen so that you can see what I want to put up. And I'll go grab, there it is. Here, we'll open it Adobe just in case. I do want to see the participants. There we go. Okay.
I'm on Stefan.
Hey, welcome, Marco.
Thank you. I had a hard time this time.
I know. Well, at least you'll be able to tell me, because we did have some other participants go through stuff similar as you, so we'll use your experience to guide us.
I'll use my phone at the end.
Okay, so you should pay your internet bills. So OneNote Smart Notebook. To me, OneNote, and we'll position it, this actual booklet that I have on screen will be yours. So I'll put that in the chat before we end, so you have everything here. If ever you want to take notes in it, you can take notes. Actually, I'll do one better. I'll drop it in the chat right now. So let's try this out. I'll just open the chat back again. Chat. I just can't see the chat on screen. Okay, I'll drop it later. But you will have it, definitely. I'm trying stuff. Sometimes I leave it before, sometimes I'll try it after. So what is OneNote? Who here has used in the past OneNote? It's part of the Office suite, and it's even free. So please raise your hand, participants button, if you've used OneNote. So Jason has, Nicole has. Great, so I have some backup. So if I need to take a break, Jason and Nicole, you take over. So Jason is just suddenly paying attention. It's like, no, not ready for this.
Why do you think I'm attending?
Cool. So I'm actually really happy that not a lot of you have used OneNote, but I do want to check out with Nicole. Nicole, you said you used it, right? Can you unmute yourself if you have the capacity, or at least just chat with us? Because I want to know what's your experience with OneNote up to now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I've used OneNote for a few years, but I feel like I'm just using it at the basic level. So I thought you might have some good tips for me.
And what do you use it for? What do you put in OneNote right now?
Everything work related.
Good. That's a good answer. So when you do designs, do you use it to take your notes in about those, or what specifically would you do?
I do. And then, you know, for all of these webinars that we've done over the past few weeks, all of my notes from those are in there. I have lots of notes on the cabinet companies, like when I've gone to the trainings, so that, you know, I can bring it up on my phone and, you know, be out of the client. And then if I need to look something up, I have it wherever I am.
Excellent. So you're making great points here. I'm just seeing the chat now that Jason had trouble with the sound. Now it's fixed, right? You can hear us perfectly. Good. Yeah, I love that, because this is exactly what I do. OneNote just replaced my any-day notebook. So my paper notebook, the small binders that you have, like spiral notebook. People tend to have one or tons of those and run through them in an amount of time. OneNote will do exactly the same thing as your paper notebook, except on steroids. It will be able to, have you ever tried to go, it's been something that I put in like 6 months ago, and I want to find it again. So can you try and do a keyword search in your paper notebook? And you'll go inside. It's based on dates or projects, and then you have to go through. With OneNote, I can type in a keyword, and it'll find my notes for 5 years back if I need to. And there's much, much more than that. So, but OneNote in and basically, if I go just after the table of contents, does a couple of things really, really well. Let me put it full screen so it's easier to see. OneNote is all about centralization. We want to have one place where we can store our notebooks. And that's the cool thing, because I will have one application, OneNote, and I'll have any amount of notebook I want with any amount of subject I want, all under one roof. And it will be on the mobile devices. So the same notebook that I have on my computer, I can access on my phone, on my tablet, or any computer in the world, as long as I have internet access. So there's different ways. You could store it locally on your computer. I don't like that, because I'd like to be able to retrieve my notes if my computer crashes. So I'll show you how to work with that. So there's the basic and some advanced. So today's swing, it's not called basics or advanced. This is just a mishmash of the best options I think would be of value to you. And as we're saying this, Jessica has posted in the chat. Thank you, Jessica. Sorry you kicked yourself out a little earlier.
It's okay. I got back in and now I'm here to assist you.
So for me, Jessica is right here in the mosaic of pictures. If you remember Jessica, our national sales trainer, extraordinaire, has been doing that for over 4 years now and enduring me, especially these 4 or 5 last weeks. Thanks for not quitting. And so
Vice versa.
So here we want to centralize one spot for everything. So I don't have to look everywhere to find my notes. It was the last thing to help me go to a paperless office. So I was almost completely paperless until I found OneNote, because I needed my notes and I took them on paper. I know some of you might already use other applications. There's notes on your phone. There's like notes application. There's Evernote, that was the big popular one a little while ago. And some might actually have a couple more features than OneNote. Why do I love OneNote so much? It's part of that Microsoft ecosystem. So if you're using Word, PowerPoint, Excel, Outlook, it fuses with that. So it makes your life or note-taking much simpler. So we'll go into that. So it helps me be paperless. It's incredible for sharing. You can have team notebooks. So we can have team meetings and somebody in the meeting is taking the notes and everybody else sees it with about 2 or 3 seconds delay. So you can have one note taker and everybody on the same notes, and several people can add to those notes. I won't go too much into that today. I will focus on the need of a designer with their clients in there. But keep in mind that what I'll do for you could become something for the team. So again, Q&A sessions are great for that. And your questions, there's a lot of questions about this, we'll put it in also. So I've talked about mobile and search right off the get-go. So those are a couple of key information. Now, key concepts on OneNote. What is OneNote? It's a digital notebook. It's just like your good old binder that you had at school, that 2.5-inch binder in which you had separators, which in OneNote are called section. A binder is your notebook. The tabs are sections. So OneNote works exactly the same way. And then you have pages. So that those 3 whole pages that you can open up the binder, take the page and put somewhere else, OneNote does the same thing. I can move my pages from one section to another, from one binder to another with a click and drag. So that's also something pretty cool. Key concepts with OneNote before actually opening up and trying it out. It's about keeping those notes intuitive. A lot of people, when they see OneNote, it has elements from Word. So you can format your text. You can make stuff really pretty. But if you look at my old notes back from school, it ain't pretty. It was useful because I was able to take notes fast. So keep that in mind. Don't overdo the beauty or the setup of your notes. It depends. If I'm sending it to the client, I'll put the extra effort. But if it's just my notes, I will take notes just like I would scribble in my notebook. Checklists. It does checklists, which is actually something that will be useful for you guys once you present the design. Keep in mind that I'm doing this to sync up with our other new webinar, which is the Digital Human Touch virtual presentation. I forget the third term.
Virtual design presentation.
Thank you. Virtual design presentation. So in that, me and Kaylee will walk you through an actual design presentation through Zoom using the checklist, and we'll have the checklist in OneNote. So you'll see this will mesh with that other webinar. We'll talk about search functions, really, really amazing. It can actually search through PDFs that you put in there. It can actually search through documents, and even to some extent handwriting. We'll talk about taking meaning notes in there and mobility. I'll show you how to use that on your phone. Sounds good? Any questions or things that you say, hey, Steph, I would really love if you talk about that in OneNote. So now's the time, either through chat or unmuting yourself. If you have expectations you want me to cover, now let me know. Or hold your peace for 2 or 3 minutes, because I have more questions afterwards. Cool. So if any comes up as I'm showing stuff, let me know. So how to create OneNote notebooks. Who has access to that? Where do I find a OneNote notebook? Simmer down, I'll answer all of that. So first, thanks Doug for laughing. You get 3 points. I do love people that laugh at my jokes. And those of you that don't have the camera on, I can't really give you points because I can't see you. OneNote has both a paid and a free version. If you have Windows 10, you bare bones, you don't have installed nothing on it, you still have OneNote. So everybody sees my screen, right? You can see my start menu. If I type in ONE, by default, everybody on Windows 10 has the OneNote app. It's a lighter version than the one I'll show you today, but 90% of what I'll show you today works in the lighter app. So you're still good if you don't have the Office suite. Now, I'll ask you a question. Raise your hand if you do not have Word or PowerPoint on your computer. So if you don't have the basic Office suite, raise your hand. So Mario doesn't have it. Possibly uses maybe Google or other Office suites. So for those that don't, Mario, you can use that OneNote app. If you don't use Windows or an older version of Windows, you can still download it off the web. So it is completely free. And if you have a Microsoft email account, you have it already, maybe not downloaded, but you have access to it. I'll show a little bit about that. For the rest of you, no matter what year the Office suite is, might be Office 365, might be Office 2019, I go all the way back to Office 93. It's in there. It's actually was part of the Office suite when it started. It was meant for students to take notes at school, and students didn't use it until recently. And it actually caught a second life in about the 2010s as an office tool. They brought it back to the Office suite because it used to be just in the student suite for a long while before that. And they brought it to the Office suite, and slowly but surely people are kind of noticing it and using it more and more. Those that have invested time, like Nicole, usually can't stop using. I could not go back, but people don't know about it, don't have 3 hours to futz around with it to find how useful it is. That's why we'll do this today. So you can either use the 2016, that's the latest version. Microsoft stopped making the full app at 2016. It's still downloadable. If you have the Office suite, you can still download 2016. And I even think you can download it even if you don't, because it never asks me to log in. OneNote, for all of you that don't have the Office suite or are using other than Windows, you can always go for the OneNote app. So I'll be teaching specifically on the OneNote 2016 today. The interface is slightly different, but you'll be able to follow along. Now, how do we create one? Well, you can start it. I'll start my OneNote 2016 on screen, and you can see that I already use it a lot. I have different notebooks. So I have different notebooks for different subjects. Some are mine only, some are shared with my team. But first and foremost, when you open it up, you might have a default notebook, which is crap. You don't want that default notebook. You want to go here in the file and click new. Now, keep in mind, you can try it on screen if you have more than one screen at the same time. I don't mind that at all, and I do encourage it. Keep in mind, I might not have the time to answer if you have technical issues as we're going along. That's the only caveat that I want to share with you. But you see here, click on File, New, and select where you want the notebook to be. It's exactly what I'll be doing. So you'll get that afterwards, right now actually on the download, so if you want to follow along. So A couple of places you can create your notebook. It could be on the PC. Not good. You will only have access to it on this PC that you're doing it right now. So if there's a mobile phone, or if you're doing something on a tablet, on the iPad, you won't have access to it. The best places, two of them, depending if you have Office 365, like an Office for work, you will have a OneDrive for work. So you can see here, I have my OneDrive for the Cabico group. So that's my personal storage space at work. I could put the OneDrive, the OneNote in OneDrive. If you don't have Office 365, not a problem. I do encourage you to open up, or most everybody already has an Outlook account. I'm older, so it's a live.ca account. Just after Hotmail, but before Outlook. That gives you my age. And so you can do that. So if you want to open up an account, it's really simple. You go on the web, you type in outlook.com. Even if you're not sure if you have an account, just go in, try to connect, and go with that. Because if you do connect, and I'm going fast here because I don't want you necessarily to remember all of these steps, but I just want to show you that if I do connect through the web, I do have two-factor authentication because I don't like hackers. There we go. This is my actual personal email, so you'll see all my passwords to take notes. But in the top left, I have that little hamburger menu, a little three by three dots. You see, you have a OneDrive and you have OneNote. So even if I don't have the software, even if I'm running on Linux or Mac or anywhere else, I still have access through the web to a OneNote notebook that will function 80% with the options, about 80% of the options I'm sharing with you now. So if I go into my notebooks, I'll just pick one. I'll be able to navigate, take notes through the web. So I don't even need to have the application if push comes to shove. Sounds good? Okay, so just know that there is a possibility to do that there. I don't need you to remember specifically that. It's just to know, I can actually, if I have an Outlook account, access my OneNote on the web. Now here, because I do have an Outlook account, when I'm in my OneNote and I want to create a notebook, I'll choose my OneDrive personal or my OneDrive at the business. So if, let's say we go for the basics, you don't have Office 365, but you did just open or decide to revisit your Outlook account, I'll click here and give the notebook a name. So let's say I call it Retail Projects. So let's put it in context of you guys doing business right now. It could be also builders. I like to separate those because I think you work differently between retail and builders. So we would like to segregate those separately so you can organize it a little better. So I'll just then click Create Notebook. So it'll say here, your notebook has been created. Would you like to share it with other people? So already it says, oh, okay, I could share it with Doug. If I'm working with Doug and we both want to work on the same retail projects, or maybe not, but if Doug's not there, I need to take over for him, so I want to be up to speed. So I could share and invite people to this. You can always stop that afterwards. You have complete control. For now, I won't. I'll keep it simple. So I'll click Not Now. And there will be now a notebook called Retail Projects. Your interface might look different from mine. Typically, people have this. So they'll have that notebook at the top. That's the notebook. If you go back in my book here, that's your notebook. That notebook has tabs, the green, red, yellow ones. It has sections in Outlook. So at the top here, I have section 1. I can create as many sections and rename them as I want. Each one will have its own beautiful pastel boring color. Now, designers here, so can we change those colors, Steph? Yes, unfortunately you can. So you can always go here and switch to whatever favorite pastel color you like. It does look like great colors when you navigate here, but they're all kind of pastel once you apply them. So there you go. So it does do it by default, but you can modify that to suit your needs. So let me go back here. File, new, notebook. You can select the business or the personal Outlook storage. It's best to do it there. You could do it on the PC, but again, this makes it available anywhere. I can share it, unshare it. It's great. Now, we're talking about those notebooks and sections. So how to create them is as simple as clicking that little plus icon here to create new sections. Now, this will get, you'll need to have a little bit of getting used to. At first, you won't know, is this a section? Is this a section? So is this the section title where I'll go Doug Estates? So that would actually, it's a mistake because this is not a section. This is a page. So if I want to have a section for Doug's Estates, I would actually not type it in here, but rename a section at the top by right-clicking on it and typing Doug's Estates. Here, whatever I put here, renderings, is the actual title of my page. So this gets sent over here. So that's the title of your page. So when you create a new page with this add page, you can give that specific page a title. Now you're kind of building a file for your client. So let me get rid of my extra crappy sections here. Again, to get rid of them, right click, delete. It's very WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. So Doug's Estates, I can create a page for renderings in which I can put renderings, because you'll see there's a whole story to this. I can put CDPS links here. I could put tons. Actually, we already, Kaylee has put together the excellent Kaylee, again, she's right here on my screen, has put together already a Retails project to actually teach when we'll do our virtual presentation. So Laurier Heights house. So you see here, renderings. She has put renderings in there. So we'll do that with you so that you can actually go on your Zoom call like we're doing right now, share your screen like I'm doing right now, and actually talk about your designs. So I can even zoom it in so that the client has a fuller view and put this full screen with those little arrows. And that's one thing that we'll look at today. How to send a file in there so that you can show it. You can even take notes on it. So I could go here and add a second drawer and have, whoops, put details on that. That becomes also a checklist that I can check when I'm done or not, and actually share this with the client. So it can be very professional notes that you're taking directly on your renderings. So I'll show you how to do all of that. I'm doing this just to pique your interest and keep you stuck to the screen. Any questions up to now? Allow me to take a sip of water. Let me know if ever I go too fast or if I'm too slow and boring you. I will speed up at that point. Okay, so if I go back here, we know what our notebooks, they'll be here, and also the separators that are section. And you'll see sections that appear here can also appear here. If you don't see this, I haven't put that in the book, but a lot of people see this instead. So how do I get this here to look the same here? Well, in your notebooks, I do recommend that you do that, is click that little drop down and pin those. So if you click the drop down and pin it to the side, it'll always stay to the side, because you'll have a limit of how much tabs you can see at the top of the screen, but no limit on how much you can see on the left of the screen. So I'm really crazy. I'm busy. It's great. COVID has nothing on me, and I have many, many clients ongoing. You'll see here, I have a pretty large screen, so allow me for a lot of sections, but see, eventually I hit a limit. It's 10, it goes to 15. But all of these are still available on the left side of the screen. So that's something I do encourage you. Some also like that the top menu is hidden. Some rather see all the options like Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. You can also pin this on the right side, top right side of the screen. So for the purposes of training, I'll keep it pinned. So it's less bothersome so it doesn't go down, up, down, up, down, up all the time. So I won't get rid of all the sections right now because it'll take way too long. But Kaylee will go crazy because I've created too many sections in her training. So next stop. We've talked about sections, pages on the right-hand side. So I have a slide on that. So how to create a page, and you can create sub-pages. Okay, what does that mean? So if I'm in my new section that I'll call here, Doug's Estate, and I'm creating a page here for renderings. And eventually I'll put renderings in there. I want to create a new page for, let's copy what Kelly did, for layouts and elevation. Okay, so I'll create here a page. I'll call it layout. But maybe I'm doing a couple rooms. So maybe it's here I want to do the kitchen layout, and I'm doing the bathroom separate. I love layout. Okay. Now, one thing you can do, if you want them to be grouped together, you want that kitchen layout and bathroom layout to actually be sub pages of rendering, you can right click on kitchen layout here and say make sub page. And I'll do the same with the bathroom layout and make sub page. You don't necessarily need to make sub pages, but I know some of you are you know, have some organizational issues, not in the sense that you're lacking, but maybe you have too much. So I know people like to keep stuff tidy. So now that rendering also has a little up arrow. So if I click there, it closes the page up to it. And if I click down, I have the pages there. So it's like creating sub pages. And the cheaters thing too is that you can click to the left or to the right, click and drag to make or unmake sub pages. Sounds good? Kaylee says, of course, Kaylee says no such thing as too organized. I might have had her in mind while talking about that option. Okay, next. Pages and sub pages, we're good with that. Don't go too crazy, keep it simple. Remember, intuitive note taking. If you organize it too much, you're hurting the intuitiveness of that. Because I'm really trying to convince you to stop using pens. Pens are an endangered species. So if you make it too heavy in the structure, when you'll want to take a note, it'll be hard for you to know where to take your note, and you'll go back to your pen and paper because it's really easy. On the pen and paper, you flip, next available page, you take a note. So keep it not too heavy. Plus, there's an option for that. It's not in the book here, but one of the things you'll see at the bottom left of the screen, completely bottom left, there's something called Quick Notes. So that's usually a section that is part of the default notebook. So if I hit the Quick Notes, it will automatically bring me to a Quick Notes section, and I can hit add a page and take a note and bother about moving it later. Because remember, there's 3 whole pages. So if I do here, because see, we're not in the right notebook anymore. This is one of my personal notebooks. But if I go here and go CD, PS, because I need to take notes real fast, I do type much faster in Swedish than I do in English or French. So there you go. But after you're done taking it, because you were late to a meeting, you just got a call from a client, you need to take notes right now. Well, you can do this, and then later, go at the bottom of your screen, bottom right, you see CDPS at the bottom right? I can click that, drag it over to my retail projects, and drop it into Doug's Estates. And now I have CDPS on the right-hand side in Doug's Estates. So I just move one 3-whole page to another section of my notebook. So to me, quick section, quick notes saves a lot of time when I'm in a hurry. Hit there, new page, take my notes, and then after the meeting, after the phone call, I'll move it around. Sounds good? Cool. And I saw Melissa applaud virtually, so I think she likes this too. Now, back to the booklet. We'll talk about a little bit about the layout and template design, but I'll be quick on that. I might come back. There's a couple of things I think in there that you'll love. So if I want to draw stuff, some of you, and this is especially useful if you have a pen that matches your computer, in the sense where you have an iPad, because this is available on the iPad. The app actually is available on the iPad. Oh, Mario has his hand up. I don't know if Mario, you had a question, or did we have, or forget to lower your hand before? Any question, Mario? I guess not.
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mario. Okay, so I was saying here that if you want to draw, if you have an iPad with a stylus, have a tablet, or even a computer nowadays, some of the computers do have styluses, you will love this because you want to do a little drawing with or without your client, because you can build this as a client file while he's on the phone or Zoom with you, or after or before. So I could click on the page here and go for a sketch. And you see here, I say under view. So I'll go here under view. There is rule lines. That's an option here. And one of the options is actually to have it like at school, but you do have grid lines. So I could choose small, medium, large, or extra large, or very large. So let's go for medium grid lines. It'll actually make a grid line set up in my background. So right now I'm showing you from a computer which does not have a touch input. So I will pretend that I can do stuff with the draw section. So in the tab at the top, on top of having that view, you will see also the draw tab. It's still in the book. I thought about this. So in the draw tab, you can freehand with the color you like. Now me with a mouse and even with proper tools, I'm terrible, but you could freehand it or use a couple of shapes. So if you just want to sketch out really quickly, and you see how it does snap to the grid. So you can decide to use these as measurements and create some line drawings about your cabinets, just to get a sense of it, and maybe put a beautiful sink. So, but I can quickly sketch stuff here, especially if I do have a pen, it makes it even easier. One little thing about the web app or the application versus the full version. Full version tends to have a little bit more in it, except a couple of things. So just to maybe mix you up a little bit, but hopefully I won't. I'm working off the OneNote 2016, the full version. But if I take the lighter version, there is something that's really cool in the lighter version that I don't have in the heavier one. If I do draw, it has ink to shape. So let me add a new page. And if I click ink to shape, and I will draw a bad circle, it'll make a nice circle. If I draw a bad triangle, it'll make a nice triangle. So if I try to make a diamond, which I've never tried, it kind of half works. So that might be something cool to make nicer shapes really quickly. But that's only in the Light app. So there you go. So here, of course, you have a plethora of highlighters, pens, markers. You can, if that's not enough for you, you can go full bore and decide exactly how thick you want the trait to be, exactly what color you want to use for pens and for highlighters. We'll talk about using those a little later. I'm just introducing them now. Sounds good? Okay. Oops, that's not the one I want to go back to. We'll talk about insertions at this point. And this is something really, really cool. So what are insertions? If I go back here, I've talked about the Home tab just a tad. We'll go back to that a lot. we went to the View tab where I could put lines. You could also change the color of the back if you do love pastel colors again, but I don't. So you can manage this. We've talked about the Draw tab a little bit too. Now, if I go to the Insert tab, and this is where stuff is getting even more interesting. Let's say I'm preparing to do a virtual meeting, and here I still have my pen, so I'll get rid of that. If you're stuck with your pen and you don't know how to get rid of it, you can press Escape. That's the easiest way to do it. The old way was to go back to the Draw tab and click Type, but if you just press Escape, it's a little pro tip there. It's faster. So here in the Insert tab, what can we discover? So if I'll go to renderings here, and I'm preparing to meet my client, and I want to put my renderings here because I want everything in one place, centralized. So I can actually use this kind of to manage my client project and have everything in the right spot. So I will look at one of my files. Virtual design. I'm stealing again Kaylee's files here for this purpose. And now my renderings, Kaylee, would be the, which one?
They're under the, oh, go back.
Yep.
So our renderings are under design package. Those ones are the blueprints. So if you go back one tab.
Yep.
And the one Laurier 12 design package, they're in there. That one, yeah.
This one, okay, cool. Thank you, Kaylee.
Yeah.
So I'm really great, but I have to be explained a lot. So thank you, Kaylee.
No, you don't.
I'll open this. So you do have, let's say, renderings that you've created because you've went to Cindy's webinar and now have to create even better renderings faster, or you went to Isabel's webinar and now with SketchUp you make renderings too. So now you want to prepare and show this to your clients. You could open it up like this and share this to your client, but your clients will probably ask, well, what happens if I do put another drawer there, heater drawer? What if I want a utensils rack there? And you want to take notes somewhere. Well, OneNote is great to take notes. So what I'll do, I will print this in OneNote. So I'll repeat that. I'll print this in OneNote. So I'll use my printer. You didn't know that, but everyone right now, unless you're on Mac, there's exceptions, but most people right now, if you click on print file, one of the printers that is available in your list will be called OneNote 2016 or OneNote. Remember, the OneNote is the default one that comes with Windows. If you have Windows 10 or older, if you have the Office suite, you might also have the Send to OneNote 2016 or earlier versions. So if I click on Send to OneNote 2016, that becomes a printer. And I can say, I want pages 1 through 5, because these are the renderings. There's more stuff, but I know it's in page 1 to 5. And I'll make sure, this is pro tips, it's not in the book yet, because I just discovered this morning. I can see here, choose paper source by PDF size, because it tries to fit it in a 8 by 11, but I know that is larger than 8 by 11, so I'll choose paper source by PDF size. And this really works well if you open it in Adobe Acrobat. Don't open it in the web because you won't have half these options to print well. So open it in Adobe Acrobat. Take a note of that your last paper notes before you convert to OneNote completely. So here, actual size is fine. I don't change anything there. Choose paper source by PDF. One of the things I've noticed, sometimes OneNote is a little iffy. See, auto portrait, landscape, sometimes it screws it up. So I just double make sure by just checking landscape, just to make sure it doesn't screw it up and print it the wrong way. So I'll click print, take a sip of water, and you'll see at the bottom of my screen, the OneNote app is blinking red. So it's something's happening there. So you click on it, and we'll give you a menu. You see here? So I can decide where I want to put those notes, and it shows me all my notebooks, but the recently used sections are right at the top. So usually people work on the recent stuff they've worked on. Mine is exception. I just recently created Doug's estate, so it's not showing up yet. Yes, it does. See, Doug's estate already here. So I don't even have to dig down which notebook. I just click this, click OK, and look at this. It'll create a printout page automatically, printout, and it will put those renderings there. So that's one of my steps before talking to a client. When I'll go on the phone with the client and they look at these, because I'll share my screen. And again, if I want to make it even nicer, I can click on this full page view. So it removes everything around it and you can focus on it. You can zoom in with the control and the mouse wheel to zoom in or zoom out. So you make it as big as possible so that the client, even if they have a small screen, it fills up their screen. And they go, oh, I like this, but can you put a second heater drawer here instead? Like I showed you a little before. I'll double click. And keep in mind, you need to double click. So that might be a little note, because at first people will click. Oh, mine worked. But your mileage will vary. If you click somewhere else, you click once, it won't necessarily work. It'll select this. So if I click elsewhere, I click here, it types below. So you want to double click on the picture. So here, if I double click, I can write add heater drawer. Now, you see this is actually creating a text box. This is how OneNote works. It's really a huge scrapbook. So you can scrapbook pictures, you can scrapbook notes, and they're all layers. So here, any box, anything you click, I'll click somewhere else. You know, add wine rack. It creates then another box with text in it. Now, if you can't see it really well because it's dark on dark, you have tons to do about that. You see that I can highlight this in a different color so it stands out. So I can do the same here, and you'll see that we can actually pre-program that. So then when you type, you can actually do this. So one cool thing is I might be presenting to my client live and just double click on the picture to make modifications. Sounds correct? Sounds good? Makes sense up to now?
Yeah, quick question, Stefan. Can I actually add a link? So if I'm talking about the wine fridge, can I add a link to the wine fridge?
Love that question. Love that question. So let's go out of the full screen. We were in the insert tab, right? Greg, the check is in the mail. You've asked the right question at the right time.
Sweet.
You see here, there's a button called link. So I could be in my text box, hit enter, add a link, and so I can call it the, what did you want to add, Greg?
Say a wine fridge or refrigerator for that matter.
Yeah, okay.
I saw you had some in there, so.
Yeah, wine fridge. There you go. So then I could paste here the address for the wine fridge. So that's the my default provider for wine fridges, Google. So if I click OK, I just created a link. And if I click on this, it will open
Sweet.
the right page. Now, you can really combo this like crazy. Because my idea is, because we were brainstorming this with Kaylee, and she's like, this is what I do. It's like, oh, well, you could do this way. So what I said after this is, once you make your modifications there, or at least note the modifications on here, this page you can send to your client as a PDF. So they won't be able to change anything on it. It'll become flat, static thing. So if I click send on as PDF, it will take a little moment. It'll create an email, attach a PDF straight to it. So if I open this up, you'll see that add wine rack, add heater drawer. Oops. If I go to the other page, you see the wine fridge is still clickable. So even the client can afterwards go back, look at it, compare, and go, wow, this is really cool. Does that answer your question, Greg? Cool. Yeah, excellent. So these are a couple of things you can do with this. We'll continue to show you much more. Sounds good? What else can I do with this insert section? So one of the things, and that's not something I've worked out yet with Kaylee, so, well, let's say I go in a new page just to keep things clean. And I want, and I'm just thinking as we go, because I saw Kaylee create an appliance page on her. But let's say I want to have a picture of an appliance. It could possibly be also a mood board that you want to show the client that's from your website or our website. So I'll go to Cabico. And I want to showcase this to the client. One of the things you can do is screen clippings with the insert. So anything on the web or any document you have. So it could be from the spectrum. You don't want to show everything from the spectrum, but you want to show a door style. So you can do a screen clipping. It's just basically, as soon as you hit screen clipping, it goes to the previous screen, puts everything milky white, and you just select the portion you want. So again, web, document, spectrum, anything. So you can do your screen clippings that way. So that's another possibility here with the OneNote Insert tab. Now, you could also attach files. So here, let me get rid of this. Well, I'll keep it there for now. I will create, which tab did we put a file in, Kaylee? A quote letter, excellent. So here, let's say I'm working on a quote letter, but you want it to be an editable file. You want to be able to work on it later and do stuff. So you don't want to print it there, because when I printed my renderings, did I delete my beautiful printings? Yes, I did. I am able to scribble on it, but it's not a file anymore. It's a printout. So if I want to have a file here that I can work on later, I have the file attachment button here. So if I click on that, I can navigate. I don't think I have a quote letter ready. Yes, I do. Marvelous, Kaylee, thank you. So I'll click insert here, and it'll ask me, do you want to attach it or do a printout like we did with the PDF? I don't want to do a printout. I'll attach the file, so I'll drop it here. So again, I have my renderings here. I can work my kitchen layout here. I can have my pictures of appliances, or let's say doors, styles, and I can have my quote letter. And then if I click here, it will ask, oh, are you sure you want to open this? The files can be harmful. Yeah, I put it there. I'm fine with it. If I open it up, it's my quote letter, and I can modify it. Save it and close it up. If I open it again, whoops, it's still registered as open, so it'll take a little while for me to be able to go back to it. There we go. So you see, it stayed in there. So I'll just take that out. So this can really be the place to centralize your information that you're using for the client, not only to show the client, so the renderings is to show the client, but for yourselves to actually build your client file and have everything in one spot and easily manage and shareable. Any questions up to now? While I go back to the booklet.
Stefan, there's a question from Doug in the chat asking, yes, does the client have availability to change this or keep the drawings?
In the renderings, Doug, you mean? Oh, you're still on mute. Let me unmute you. Go ahead, Doug.
At any stage?
I'm sorry?
The reality is at any stage, can they? Depending on how we release it, is that correct?
Well, if you're showing your screen right now, they would need to screen grab to press screenshot on every screen to get it. So they won't have the ability to do anything other than to have it. Now, if you did put renderings here, like I showed a little earlier, let's go back to Kaylee's ones. This, I think a good practice would be at the end, once you've put your notes on, to actually go File and Send. As a PDF, they won't be able to change it. So that just makes it flat, unchangeable. Is it because you wanted the client to be able to modify something on there?
Well, by rights, the files are ours, right, until we release them. I just don't want the customers to be able to have the ability to release them until something has been, the contract has been drawn up, correct?
That's it. So they won't, it's a PDF. They can't make any changes at all on the
But
PDF.
they could print it off of their computer though.
Definitely. Definitely. So that's where you have choices. If I am doing a video call, I could do it just on my screen, put those details, and once they're at that level in the process where I'm comfortable sending it out, then I can send it out. I always err on giving too much rather than too little. There is limits to this, of course, but I think a simple drawing with no measurements, with added little notes on it, add a drawer here, add a drawer there, actually will engage your client more than create an issue of them shopping around, because there's no dimensions there. So it'd be a headache for any other big box store to try and make that work without dimensions.
Okay, thank you.
But that's it, because some clients will ask that, some won't, but I always go, hey, what if I offer it to you instead? And they go, wow, okay. So that's where I try to cement and build a relationship.
My concern has always been a lot of the design is yours, right? Your concepts, your ideas. So if you're giving the customer the concept or the idea, they can always take it to somebody else to duplicate it, correct?
Yeah.
Unless we arrange for some kind of contract ahead of time to even start this, it's not necessarily our product, right?
So yeah, to me it's the same as kind of showing them a design package virtually, regardless of whether you're using OneNote or not. Even if you're just showing them your own like PDF renderings or something like that online, they can always take a screen grab. That being said, I honestly don't know of a ton of people that actually would do that. So unless you're actually sending them a file, there's not much that they can do with that.
Exactly. But this is where you decide to what level, to what extent you want to further this. In any case, if you send it out as a PDF, they can't modify it, but definitely they can print it. Sharing just on screen, they would need to be really fast and good to screenshot it, crop it, make it beautiful enough so that somebody can reproduce your design, which is really hard. Other questions? Okay, so let's go back to that. I have too many windows. Let's close a couple. There we go. So in insertions, you get screen clippings, you get file attachments, you can put in there. You have a lot of different things. I can't go over everything today because it'd be a full day. But you will. Those are a couple of the great basics that you have there. There are a couple, maybe one more thing I can talk about the insert here. You do have audio or video recording available to you. So you could decide to let's go here and add a page for client meeting for April 34th. It's a new date. We stretch time in these COVID times. So here, if I do click record audio, it's currently recording my conversation, my mic, but not my clients necessarily. So that's kind of the limitation here. But I could take notes also as while this is recording. So this is interesting. And then I can blabber on a couple more things that are not that cool. And then eventually talk about a second interesting thing. And now if I stop this recording, it creates bookmark in the recording. So if I go here and I want to listen at the second interesting thing. Let me just make sure that my screen is shared with sound. You still see my screen, right? Okay. So if I click here,
and I can glab around a couple more things that are not that cool, and then eventually talk about a second interesting thing.
so it actually creates bookmark in the audio. The audio right now is crappy. I would have to probably set it to a little bit better, but it's a possibility. So I don't know if that's something really useful or not, but I just want to throw it in there. You let me know if you feel it's useful and you want me to dig into that in the Q&A session Friday. Okay, so going back to how to print to OneNote. Remember I showed you that already. If you have a PDF document or any document, it could be a Word document, and you want to send it to OneNote so you can annotate it either through a pen or with just typing on it, it's this page. I didn't put page numbers, but it's section 3.3. And I'll upgrade these to page numbers really, really shortly. And we will now come to use tags. That's probably one of the most useful thing Kaylee was super excited about because she's super organized. And I love those. So this is back in the home screen. And tags are right in the middle of your screen right here. Now in 2016, this full version, you have a little bit more tags. Like the Outlook task does not exist in the lighter version 1. But I won't use these today, so you won't be missing anything, even if you're not using the 2016 one. We will capitalize a lot on the to-do tags and the other tags that are there. So let me just do some cleaning because I had created a fake tag. So typically, if you open up yours, you'll see in the home menu, to do, important, in question, and to do here. This and this, exactly the same thing. It's just two ways to access it. What do they do? So in their basic form, I love to do this when I'm doing a meeting. So again, I'll create my client meeting. Oh, it's not in the book, but let me show you something really, really cool about meetings. So I'll pull my Outlook up. And I will go into today, OneNote, your smart notebook. And let's say this had Kaylee, Jessica invited to this. We're doing it in Zoom. See, we're applying everything we've learned up to now. So no meeting, we're doing it Zoom, computer audio. I'll put a basic little note in there. So I'll send it out. So if I am doing notes, I'm coming to this meeting, I'm calling my client through Zoom. You will notice at the top, if you're using Outlook, this is an Outlook only trick. You see there's meeting notes? I absolutely love that. I'll click here and it'll say, you want to share your notes? I won't go into sharing your notes on this webinar. Take your notes, take your own notes. And this will bring you the pop-up, just like when we were printing, like a moment ago. And I will say, I want to put this in my retail project, Doug's Estate. And I thought I had created, oh no, okay. So I'll just put it in Doug's Estate. It'll create a page at that point. So I could have done it with my shortcut too. Remember we had the shortcuts or the drill down, either way. See, I'll do it Doug's Estate. This is where the magic happens. It copies over everything from Outlook for that specific meeting. So it says OneNote, your smart notebook. So the title of my meeting is now the title of my notes. Saves me time. And then location. So it clicks here. It's again my Zoom meeting. There is everybody that I invited becomes check boxes. So I can say these were there. Jessica missed out. And if I look at invitation message and expand, so that's the actual message. So now I'm ready to take notes on my client meeting if I want to use this way, which is really cool. So let's say during my my client meeting, wants new sample chips for doors. They want it in the Phoenix material. Of course, everybody wants Phoenix. Nobody can pay for it. So that can become quickly a to-do. So here, if I hit that to-do tag, it creates a little box next to it. Super simple. It does only one thing. I can check and uncheck it. But I can create a quick checklist with this. So I can then start to take other notes the client was asking. And you see if I hit enter, it automatically creates a second checkbox without me having to type. So next to do wants an OP67 on X and Y. And then let's say I want to take, but it's not a to do. It's really a question that I have to ask my CSR about because I'm unsure. So I can write here, verify if we can do this on a 1-inch full inset, blah, blah, blah. And now this is a question. So you see, I have question here. And they all have shortcuts. Control 1 is a checkbox, Control 2 is important, and Control 3 is question. So I could hit this button to put a question here, or I could just, while I'm typing at any point, do Control 3, and it'll put a question mark. And then you can move on, take other notes, have another to do here, have an important thing. It's not necessarily you need to answer or do, but you just want to make sure you see it when you do come back to it. So this is already a pretty visual way of taking your notes, but there's even the cherry on top. So let me just double check if it's in my booklet. Yeah, Control 1, quickly to do, important tag, question tag. The next page is where the icing is on the cake, find tags. So I just wish I had that when I was in school. If you want to do a summary of all your notes, but you don't want to do it, you can let the computer do it. So here, what I'll do, there's a button called Find Tags. So if I hit this button, it will give me a little pop-up on the right-hand side, and it will group everything by tag. So I have my importance pulled together, my in attendance are together, my questions are together, and my to-dos are together. And then it'd be even better if it could put that on the page, right at the bottom, create summary page. So just be careful here. It says this notebook. If you use this a lot, that will give you way too many. So I do recommend you flip this to this page group. This would mean this page or any sub pages. So this is the narrowest way, and this is the best way to do it. So if I click here, create summary page, it just created a page with all the things I need to do. So this is pretty awesome, but let's put it in context again. So I'll just destroy this for a second. I'll go back to my renderings that I will reprint. There we go. Let's print and that serves as a recap too. So temporary blank here. I forgot everything. Can someone help me here? How do I set this to print well? What do I need to do? Either unmute yourself or write in the chat. Forgot everything. It's temporary amnesia. It's the I didn't wear my mask, so that's why. Need some help. Otherwise, we're stuck here. Lee, want to help? Unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Do you want me to unmute you? Apparently, I cannot unmute you. Darn. So let's pick on Nicole. You've used this in the past, and I know I can hear you. So Nicole, can you help me?
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, I've never used that feature, and I don't remember how you said to do it.
So we need to help Nicole. So who else can help Nicole what buttons should I press here to make sure? What's the first thing? What, oh, Nicole, maybe you know this. What printer should I select at the top?
Can you show me my options?
Yep, you have all of these. I have my Canon MX470, great cheap printer. I have fax, PDF, XPS, OneNote 2016, and Snagit.
I'm going to guess OneNote.
Yeah, right. Either or, depending which one you use, OneNote 2016, you get a point. Now, I want to make sure that this actually fits right.
Stefan, there is a comment from Kat in the chat. She is recommending you choose pages 1 to 5.
Well, she remembers well.
Check the box for choose paper source is good, actual size is good.
Perfect. So you get 3 points, Kat. Paid attention and remembered too. So that's a bonus. So actual size, choose paper source by PDF. And the cool thing is once you set it, it remembers it until you change it again. So I've said it once at the start of this, so it remembers it. So I have very little to do now that I use this regularly. Thank you, Kat. So I'll just print it again. Now what do I do next? Again, don't know. Carol, unmute yourself. Talk really closely to your mic. Maybe Carol is answering a client. She is at the St. Catharines store plant, and she does serve clients, so they're not supposed to be there. Okay, Greg, you help me. What do I do next?
What was the question? Were we saving it?
No, I clicked print to OneNote.
Yep.
And now it seems that nothing happened. Is there anywhere on the screen I should check?
Down there where it's nice and orange and it says
Exactly.
the application.
It's blinking, that OneNote. Thank you,
Yes,
Greg. You get a
you're
point.
very welcome.
And now
Pat also wrote that in the chat before Greg actually said something. So.
I didn't see it.
Oh, I saw it.
Kat is barred from answering for the next 5 minutes. So there we go. So here I'll put it in Doug's estate again. So it's called printout. I'll go delete my fake page here, and that printout I will call renderings. Here. And if I want it at the top, because this is the thing I'll show, I'll just click and drag. Remember, you can WYSIWYG it. What you see is what you get. Click and drag it. Reorder stuff. So yeah, Kat says, sure, Greg, in the chat. So now I'll go back to those tags. So the tags I just used here, I'll actually use the same ones here. Remember I said at the start that you can, full screen this if you want to, zoom in. And Greg was talking about adding a wine rack. So let's convert this to a wine rack. I'll just double click on it. Add wine rack. Now, what could I use there to make myself a task out of this? What's my shortcut? Kat, you cannot answer. Anybody else? Because I'm gonna drink a lot of water if I wait for you. Oh, Lee says Control 1. Kurt says escape. Lee gets the point. It's Control 1. There we go. Creates a task. Now, some of you are a little more difficult than others. When I did that with Kaylee, she said, well, I can't really see that note really well. Is there a way to make this more visible? So I said, of course there is. If I highlight it, you will have a menu pop up, just like in Word, and you can click there. Yes, I'm calling you difficult. You had a difficult question. And then that was not enough for Kaylee. She said, can I automate that? And I said, yes, you can. And I'll show you in a moment. But just before, I can add the wine rack here. I could double click on the picture here again and change to heated drawer. Do that Control 1 again, and move to the other and do whatever notes I need to do here. Make this round. That's my professional designer notes. And so on and so forth. So this cool could be, once you've managed the backgrounds, and I'll show you how to do that really quickly, is really cool also to be able to, if you're at that point or comfortable of sending this to the client, this will show on the PDF. So they not only have the drawings, but the modifications as requested is on one thing. You don't have to redo it. You don't have to do notes, set the notes. You just write directly on there and then go back, go to File, go to Send, and send as PDF. And now in the email, those notes are in there. And now for you, the cool thing is you do still have that find tag. So you've made your notes directly on your drawings. You click that find tag, and lo and behold, the to-dos are here. Create a summary page. And I'll call it to-do. So now I might have those notes on the different renderings, but it's much easier for me just to go look at here, add a wine rack. Where, which room, where did I need to add a wine rack? You see here, there's a little link. Click on that little link, boom, you're on that note on the right page. So a couple of features there to professionally make annotations on your renderings that you're screen sharing or sending or both or none. And then easily at the end of this, summarize everything so you have your to-dos, your questions, and all of this in a nice page all together. So I can check those as I'm doing them. Sounds good? Do we like this? Is this a cool option? Yeah? I'm looking at Scott. He's pretty static. Mike likes this. Cool. Kaylee too. Melissa. Scott does like this. Okay, cool. Now I'm more comfortable. If Scott likes it, we're good. Kat says, yes, I hope to watch this again. Will you make it available? We are recording this session, of course, because I am sharing a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. Some of it is in the book, but I'm adding a lot of not. Yes, it will be made available probably by the end of this day, depending on how YouTube plays nice with me or not. So remember, we do have our YouTube channel. So here, if I go back to regular YouTube, and you go search for Cabico Academy, you'll find us right away, the big red C. And by clicking on that, you'll have all our webinars except the product related ones. So SketchUp, Design 2020 Advanced and Basic, Digital Human Touch, and probably by tonight, give me till tomorrow morning just in case, you will see this OneNote, your smart notebook there too. Kurt says, way cool. Melissa thinks this is great, thank you. And Doug also, Cat too. So those find tags are pretty cool, pretty easy to use. Email your notes. I've been talking a lot about, hey, you can send a page by clicking send and send as a PDF. You can send it as Word or even as an attachment. It could send it as a OneNote page, but the person has to have OneNote to be able to do that. But I do love that PDF because they can't change anything on there. I've talked about the meeting notes too. So that Outlook meeting note button, take your own notes, it's in the book too. So I know I might have jumped ahead on a couple of things, but a lot of this is in the book. So that's how you take your notes, take your own notes, select a section or the book, the notebook you want. Now, let's go into a couple of pro tips that I've selected to close this off. Let me close a couple of screens again so I can see what I'm doing. One of the things we've built here, and Kelly will go in a little bit more in that detail in her webinar next week, Digital Human Touch. I'm struggling with the
virtual design presentation.
Thank you, Kaylee. Virtual design presentation. So she'll explain to you why she went into creating renderings, layouts. And now I've just shown you how to do this, but not the reason necessarily behind all of this. Elevation, she split it up. Spec pages, she doesn't necessarily show it to the clients, but it's just for her to manage from one centralized area all the information she needs. So if she's looking for information about Laurier Heights house, she knows she can go there. So everything has not been filled yet. She's still working on a couple of things, but the item list, the quote letter also is there too. So Jessica, do you mean the 2020 sessions, Melissa?
I was answering a question from Melissa about that, asking about other handouts.
Yes. We're right now, a lot of our courses have handouts, but we're still working on a couple of them that don't, like 2020 Advance doesn't have handouts. 2020 Basic just got their handouts like fresh out the presses this morning. I got to look at them. They're really cool.
Same with the product training. We just finished those last week, so we're going to send them out to the previous attendees, probably either tomorrow or Friday.
There you go. So in that webinar with Kaylee, we'll walk you through more of these, but now you know how to put a document in, and that's something Kaylee will talk to you about. So this is the way to operate the best practices that we'll walk you through. Now, a couple of pro tips for meetings. So when I do want to create a meeting and want to make everything as simple as possible, I say invite attendees with Microsoft Outlook and click on the OneNote button. So here, if you do have Outlook, if you don't, that's another thing. But if you do, if I create a meeting, say for later today, I can say team meeting, or it could be, I will not use this necessarily with my clients, but for anything internal. So a team meeting, I will click meeting notes. I can take my own notes on this and put it into another book, another notebook. So I have my own notebook here at work, and it's in regards to sales, let's say. So I can put it there and it'll create that all automatically here, and I can send it out. If I'm working into a collaborative environment, that's where I could do the share my notes and put it in the sales notebook, which is actually shared amongst Jessica, Marco, Jason, and a couple of others. I don't want to go too much in details here, just to tease you. So just to know that it is possible to share, because it's a whole nother webinar to do team notebooks. And I say here, create an agenda template. You can also create a shared meeting notebook and insert the link in the invites. So that's the thing I'm teasing you about. Use your tags, so definitely do this. I've talked about it. Create to-dos, important notes, questions to be taken offline. Now, I remembered I haven't answered you on how to automate those. Let me go back. Sorry if I'm going super fast back and forth here. Here, that request from Kaylee about making this easy. It's not in the book yet because she asked about this just before this meeting. But I thought it was an amazing idea. So if I want to create this more easily, things with a like background so it does appear a little easier. In the tags, you can customize your tags. So this is not in the book. It's a pro tip. You can either use the ones that are there and change your background, but if you don't want to futz around with that too much, customize your tags. You can create your own new tag. Give it the name you want. So it could be Steph's to do. You can choose whatever symbol. So all the symbols that are available are here. So you have your active symbols, the ones that you can check. So you can have them plain with a star, with an exclamation mark. You have fun with that. So let's say I choose a plain but yellow check notebook, checkbox. And this is what it would look like once you use it. So there is that highlight color that I use right here to make it a little bit more easy to see. So if I could choose this and say I'll put a sky blue behind this, or a teal. So I'll click OK. And now this becomes my first one. So Control 1 is actually now stirs. I'll put Steph's. I'm Steph, I'm not stir. There you go. So now if I do put a note in there, test, and I hit Control 1 or hit my box here, it will actually put that highlight in the back. So it'll make it easier to see. So if you want to automate because you're super organized like Cat, you can do that. If you don't think you'll remember this, you'll review this on the web, or you can do this by hand. When you highlight this, you can always go in Home and put it by hand in the back. Sounds good? Okay. Be instinctive, not too perfectionist. Use audio recordings for longer notes if you want to find your notes in the future. Make a summary of the tags in the subpage, which I've shown you, making that all those bullet points come together. Send notes by email. Just click on the page, File, Send. Cabinetry project. This is where I picked off on the great work from Kaylee. So I've listed the sections that the pages within the section that she recommends. So it's just basically copy pasting that. You can use more, less. It's just a nice guide to start you off on the right foot in there. Last thing I want to show you, unless there's other questions, is about that mobility version of this. How do I have my access to these same notes through, let's say, my phone? So here, from any phone, a Mac, iPhone, I mean, or Android, you can go to the market and look for Microsoft OneNote. As long as it's from Microsoft Corporation, you're safe because there's plenty of note-taking apps. Some might masquerade as OneNote, but if you see it as Microsoft Corporation, you're fine. It is completely free, even if you don't have any Office suite. So just to give you an idea of what it looks like, I will show you my phone on the screen. So this is my actual phone. If I click here, I have my Office suite on my phone, everything from Word, OneDrive, Teams, tons. But here I'm interested in OneNote. So if I click on OneNote, and just to prove you it's actually my phone that you're seeing on both screens right now, it'll go to recent pages, but I can back navigate and find a right notebook, retail projects that we're working off of. If I click here, I have Laurier Heights, Lamour Estates, and I can go back to those notes, renderings and elevations, and I click on it. So it might be smaller than what I'm used to, but I can always pinch, move around. So I wouldn't do a full presentation on my phone, but if I need to modify something or just look at my to-do that I created, I can easily do that. So let's zoom back in. If I hit the back button, I can go into layouts. I don't have any to-dos on the official one yet, but I can go on links too. We've talked, because of Greg, about putting links. So Kaylee has used an example of that. I can put a link directly here. I don't have to put it on the drawing. I can put it anywhere. And if I click here, open link, my computer or on my phone, I'll open up the appropriate file.
We have a dealer we kind of worked with this and our previous webinar on, and he uses the mobile version on his iPad. He'll take his layout once he has the final revision, make his own tab, and use that for his site measure. So he can measure it right in his OneNote. When he logs back on his computer, he can see any changes, site dimensions there. You can keep it all in one portal. It's super handy.
Yeah, and even in the after times, when the COVID crisis is done, you can have your phone or iPad on the job site and record your dimensions, like Kaylee was mentioning, directly in the OneNote, and you go back to the office and you can work on the rest because everything is on the same section. Pretty awesome. Any questions? Comments? Cries of joy? So here, and I've thrown a lot at you in a very short amount of time. Oh, do you know how to switch to the full version if you currently have the light version? Yes. You go on the web and you go OneNote 2016 download, and sorry about that. So you see supportoffice.com. I'll look, is it OneNote.com? Because they've modified it. They made it a little easier recently. So let me just check this one. Yes, this is their one. Okay, so I'll copy paste it right here. Will that transfer files? It is not used to transfer files per se, but you can put a file in OneNote, and if somebody else has access to that OneNote, they could use that file. So it's not the main point of it. It's kind of a workaround, but it is doable. So mine, of course, shows up in French because I'm a Frenchie, but yours here on the screen will be in English if you're in the States. So hopefully that answers your question, Nicole. And apparently it's a completely free download now. It's not tied anymore, which is really cool, to the Office suite, which it was in the past. I was only able to download that in the past if I had the proper suite, but now it seems to be widely available, which is cool. Other questions or comments? As I'm closing this, here the key, again, I've shared a lot. If you use half of this, we're good. And pick and choose what you think is of best value to you. But the key is to put it in application quickly. It's like fresh in memory right now. So whatever for you is a highlight, take that and apply it. Don't try to do everything. If you try to do everything, you'll hate me. You say OneNote is crap. And you'll be right. So it's just trying to put too much new stuff in one moment. No. Pick the one that you like the most, do it. Once you're comfortable with it, go back, add something. So start simple, start one step at a time, but start today. That would be my best recommendations to you. So whatever you liked about this, please do. And as I'm saying this, my wonderful partner, Jessica, was nice enough to put a link in the group chat. Again, that's a survey form. This is the first session of a brand new webinar, so your feedback is critical. We have made a lot of improvements in the past based on your feedback, so I would love if every one of you copy-pasted this in their browser right now and gave us their anonymous but true feedback on what they liked about this and what needs to be improved. So I would love if 20 people gave me feedback on this. And Julie says it's my favorite new tool. Excellent, love it. So that's pretty much it. Is there anything else, Jessica, you wanted to add, or did I forget anything to plug our other webinars?
No, not exactly. We do have one other survey that we would love for you guys to take part in. The one that we just dropped in the chat is specific to this session. So it's just 3 quick questions. What do you think of this session? What were your key takeaways? What can we do to improve? That being said, we do also have one other, just 2-question survey. We would love to know what design software you currently use, whether it's 2020, Chief Architect, CAD, SketchUp, anything like that. And also what other topics you would like us to offer webinars on. So
okay, that's it. You've dropped 2 links, one a little earlier.
I did, correct. I dropped one.
The first one, Jess, I think we just have to do a different link because it goes to like our side of the forms thing.
Yeah, it's the
editable side.
Yeah, you send the edit link, so you can change our form and ask whatever questions you want.
Well, I don't know if anyone else can. But
no, they'll need login. That's probably why I get some. I think Timothy said it didn't work, so let's check. Yeah, because it wouldn't work for me.
Well, then I'm gonna let Stefan do it.
Yeah,
I feel like I just did it the exact same as I have for every other session.
Okay, I'm posting it again right now. Let me know if any of you have trouble with this link. The second link takes to the digital touch feedback. So too much coffee for you.
Yep, the second one.
That is the second link that I dropped in. That is the digital human touch survey that I was talking about. We just want to know what
Yes.
design software you use and what other topics of webinars you guys would like to see from us. This is week 4 of our webinar series that is an ongoing program. So we want to continue to add new topics that you guys would like to see. So we'd love your feedback on that as well.